Roman Anthony, he changed the way the Boston Red Sox lineup looked.
Roman Anthony, first Major League homer.
Roman Anthony's been unbelievable for this Boston Red Sox team.
Dive and make the play. What a grab.
This night has belonged to number 19.
No doubter from Roman Anthony.
The next Red Sox superstar.
The city's already fallen in love with him.
Roman reigns supreme.
Roman Anthony is the answer to the question, which current Major League Baseball player would you like to trade lives with? I would like to be Roman Anthony.
I like Roman Anthony.
21 years old, dude rakes, good-looking kid. Boston loves him. Fanatics is selling his jersey for $199 a pop. That's just a little benchmark as to how good he's going. And Roman joins us on the Friday Stove. Roman, good morning. Good to see you, man.
Good morning. Great seeing you guys. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's start with the health. Had to have been such a bummer for you personally, getting your feet wet, everything's clicking, and then the oblique injury kind of knocked you down in September. How are you feeling? And talk about how hard it was to sit around and watch playoff-relevant baseball while not being able to contribute.
Yeah, it was tough timing for sure. Obviously, we were rolling right in the mix of a playoff hunt there. And so it sucked. It sucked for me to just have to sit there and kind of watch the guys and feel like I wasn't as much of a part of it anymore, just because, when you're hurt and you're not traveling with the team, it can be tough. And for me, it was the first real injury that I had to deal with. So, learned a lot from it. And luckily now I'm healthy and ready to have a normal offseason. So, that's a good part, but obviously the timing was pretty terrible.
Roman, I always felt like your first year in the big leagues is your hardest. That's just for me what it felt like. And then after that, it's just kind of making adjustments year to year. But now having 71 games played under your belt, what are those things that you can look back into the offseason to try to get better on?
Yeah, I think I just learned a lot about my everyday routine, watching the veteran guys that we have, the way that they go about their business, and the guys who have stuck around and made such an impact on this game. I think that was the biggest part, to take care of myself on a day-to-day basis with the schedule and the travel. And, it can be tough at times going to different time zones and playing back-to-back nights. That was the hardest part for me, was just getting, adjusting to that schedule and learning what I needed to do in order to get my body ready to play. So I think that was the most important part for me, was just, learning all that I needed to do and taking that into the off season and applying that to next year.
Who were those guys? You talk about the veterans. Who were the guys that you leaned on when you got to the big leagues, and obviously afterwards, once you got kind of comfortable under your own skin there in Boston? Who were those guys that you really learned from?
Yeah, I think going back to the last offseason, going out to see Trevor Story to his camp that he invited me to, and getting to watch him work and see what makes him such an amazing big leaguer. The guy works his tail off every day and is the same way during the season. And then going into the season, I could go down the list of guys. I was lucky enough to be put in between, my locker was right in between Bregman and Jaron. Learned a ton from those guys, but really all the veteran guys that we had were so good to us young guys, and I think that's why we meshed really well together. And we had such a fun time as a team. There was such a good mix of that, young guy presence, and especially at the end when we brought up, Early, Tolley, all those guys, and then had a good mix of guys like Chapman, guys like Story, Bregman, Rob. So we had such a great squad of guys, and it just made it fun to show up every day.
You had a number of moments, Roman, during your first run through the big leagues that you could say were kind of signature moments potentially. Would I be wrong if I designated the homer at Yankee Stadium as one of the bigger moments for you this past year?
Yeah, that was a fun one for sure. That was a really fun series. I really just enjoyed playing there. Heard a lot about it. Obviously, as a kid, you watch that rivalry and one of the biggest rivalries in sports. So getting to just go there and experience that and witness it firsthand and be a part of it was special. And unfortunately, I was super bummed out to miss that wild card series. But I'm looking forward to going back there and playing there. I thought it was a really fun place to play, and I had a great time.
Hey, man, did you have any word or say on your number 19? Or was that something that when you got to the ballpark your first day, that's just what it was?
So my first day was actually 48.
That's right.
And I wasn't a big fan of 48. And I had mentioned something to our clubby when one of our guys went elsewhere and went over to the A's. He was wearing 19, and I wore that throughout AAA, and never really wore that growing up, but really liked it in AAA, and just always thought it looked good, and said something to our clubby about it, but didn't want to be that overstepping rookie that asked for a number day one. So I just came in on the second day, and it was hanging at my locker, and he came up to me and told me that they gave me 19. So. It was awesome. They treated me so well from the get-go. So it was great to just come in and get rid of that 48 number as fast as I could and get back into 19.
Yeah, dude, 48, that's like a special teams guy that plays, punt coverage. That's not a guy that's going to have 5 at-bats a game. So I want to know, during your rookie year, did you have a moment like off the field where kind of the magnitude of being with the Red Sox hit you? Like you're in line at a Dunkin' Donuts and some kid comes running up to you. Like, was there a moment like that you experienced?
I think just, credit to Boston and New England in itself. Like for me in Double-A when I was in Portland and then going to Worcester in Triple-A, it started really in Double-A. Anywhere that I was at in the New England area, we have such a great following and an amazing fan base that I was lucky enough to kind of just get used to that in the minor leagues, that when I got to the big leagues, it wasn't too crazy. Obviously, it's a little bit more intense when you're up there and you're living in the city, but it's great. I love the fans. I love the city. It's an awesome place to play.
Hey, talk to me about Alex Cora, the connection of who he is. He's such a great communicator, and he's been around for a long time. Obviously, he's won with Boston. But just talk to me about the relationship from, a rookie coming in, a guy who's anticipated to do great things for that team, and then having a manager like that can just kind of talk your way into the season.
Yeah, he's so awesome. Ever since I met him and spent some time with him last spring training and then coming into my first big league camp this year, his door's always open. He's really just a player's manager. He's always super welcoming. You just come in and sit on the couch and talk, and that's how our relationship was, really. We just, he would come in the locker room after games, sit down with us, and just kind of shoot it as a former player. And he understands what it's like to be a player and the grind of the everyday season and how long it can get. So he's awesome to play for. I've got nothing but great things to say about him.
Holidays coming up. You're in the big leagues now. Rat hold a little meal money. Are the expectations ridiculous for gift giving now that you're in the big leagues, ready to, hand out gifts?
I'm sure they are with my siblings. I'm not too sure yet. It'll be interesting to hear what's on their list this year. But no, this time of year is awesome. It's awesome being here and in this city during this time. It's a little bit of a different vibe than Florida during Christmas. But
Right.
It's great to be here. It's I'm glad to be here with my family, and I'm sure we'll start the early Christmas shopping today.
Roman, we appreciate the time, man. Really enjoyed watching your freshman year, and looking forward to watching you in 2026 and beyond. Way to go, man. Thanks for the visit today. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, guys. Thanks for having me.